Welcome to Dynamics AX video tutorials. I'm Jeevan Anthony Louis and I will be taking you through AX2012 production module. These are a set of videos that I have prepared, and I will be starting off with the first one, which is introduction and the item creation. In the first tutorial, you will learn how to create an item in AX2012, the dimension setups, model group setups, item group setups, item storage dimension setups, item tracking dimension group setup, default order setting, and item coverage group, all with respect to production module. To help you understand the production module in a much better and a simpler way, I have taken a product as an example. I've taken a ballpoint pen as an example, wherein the finished good is a ballpoint pen with different colors, or it can have different dimensions, sizes, different types of refills, which will be later used in configuring the BOM, using in a product configurator, etc. This particular product can be taken as an example from a simple BOM or a simple production order to a very complex one, which includes a product configurator and the BOM configurations and routing networks. So to get started off with, a pen is broken down into a body A, body B, a steel ring in between, a clip, a spring, the rear assembly, and the refill. Before we create all the subparts required for a pen, I will first show you how to create an item in AX2012. An item in AX2012 can be created in three different ways. Go to Product Information Management. You'll notice you have Products, Product Master, and Release Products. If you are a group company where the item master can be shared, it is always necessary to create the items either in the product or in product masters and then release it to the release products. Or you can create an item directly in the release product in the current legal entity. What is the difference between products and product masters? Products is with reference to an item which does not have dimensions. For example, does not come in different sizes, different colors, otherwise commonly known as variants. And product masters refer to those items which do have dimensions or variants. Keep in mind, if a product has variants, when you're releasing the product, you have to release the variants also. To start off with, let's go to products. To create a new item in products, click on New. If you notice, you can create either an item or a service. An item can also be of stocked or non-stocked. If you see, the product subtype is by default selected as product. Enter the product number, product name, click OK. It will create a new product. So let's say test 001. Click OK. You will notice the item is being created here. Similarly, go back to Product Masters. You click New. You have the same choice of selecting between item and service. And by default, the product subtype is Product Master. Let's create another item. Now here, if you notice, the product dimension group is a mandatory field. Let's select a product dimension group, only color. Now the configuration technology is a very important criteria. This depends on how complex is your BOM going to be. A predefined variant is you have a set of dimensions which is being released directly, and you have a combination of these dimensions. And each of these dimensions or these variants are used directly in your BOM lines. Dimension-based configuration is used when you have to use a BOM configuration where instead of creating multiple BOMs for each of the finished good variant, you create one BOM with all the possibilities, and with the BOM configuration, selection of the BOM lines would take place. Rule-based configuration is with respect to when your item is being used in product builder. And since product builder is being phased out in the future versions of AX, we will not look into this. In fact, AX2012 has introduced its own product builder called as the product configurator, for which if an item has to be configured using a product configurator, that is, if your pen, which is a finished good, has to be configured using a product configurator based on the inputs given by the user on the sales line or production line or on project requirements, BOM has to be generated and created, then the finished good item has to be of type constraint based configuration. You will see more of each of these usage in detail in the further videos. So for the time being, we'll be doing simple BOM and simple routes, and then we'll move into the complex ones. So to start off with, we'll select predefined variant. Click OK. Now if you notice, we have test2 created in product masters, and you will not find test1 in this section because test1 belongs to products, and vice versa applies to test2, which you would not be able to view it in product, because it is a product master. Now just to show as an example, we are on product masters. I will switch to another company, let's say CEE, and go to product masters. You will notice you will be able to view test 002 even in CEE company. Similarly, in products, you will notice test 001 exists even in CEE company. Now we can release these newly created products, that is test1 and test2, to any of the legal entities to be used in production or purchase or sales. If you notice, these items cannot be used in any of the transactions until and unless they are being released. You can try creating a purchase order and try to select test 001. It will not be available for selection because it is not being released in the current legal entity or any legal entity for that matter. To do so, let us release the product. Select the product, go to release products, select the product again. You notice there are no product variants available for this. Go to select companies and release it to the current one, which is CEE. You can release the product to multiple companies at the same time. Let me select CEU. Say OK. Say OK. Now, if we go to release products, and if we type test 001, you will find the product in release products, which can be used for the production, purchase, sales, inventory transactions, etc. If I go to any other company, let's say CE, and check in release products, you will not find the product. But then, if you remember, I had released it also in CEU. And if you notice, the item is available or released in CEU also. Similarly, try it out for an item with different variants, that is the one in product masters. If you remember, we have given it a color dimension. Click on product dimension, click new, enter red, blue, so on and so forth. Close. Now if we go to the release products, you would notice that these variants that we have just created will not be available for selection. Why? That is because we have not released the variants. Click on variant suggestion, click on select all, click create. You will notice the variants are being created. Now go to release products. You will notice that the variants are present. Now we can select or deselect which variant you want to release into a particular legal entity and then release it. Now if I go to the release products, release product variants, you will notice that only blue is being released for this particular company, whereas you will notice that the product dimensions available are red and blue. Just as an example, I have created a purchase order line with test 002, and if you click on color, you will notice that only blue is available, as only blue is being released in the current legal entity. Now the third way of creating a product or an item is directly creating it in the release products. In the release products, click on new. Here you get more choices in creating an item, such as either item or as a service, either product or product master. Product master, then you will notice that the product dimension group appears here. It is product, it doesn't appear, and you get to choose the groups that has to be assigned to a particular item in the creation form itself, and the unit of measure also. Now moving to the groups or the item setups. Once we have the item created, we have to look into the item setups. So let's go to test 002. We have already seen how the variant is released. Once the variant is released or an item is created, Next setups is the dimension groups. Click on this dimension group icon and select the storage dimension group. Let's say site warehouse, tracking dimension group none, the item model group. To allow editing in this form, click on the edit button, select the item model group, select the item group. These are the basic setups required for you to get started. Now let's look into each of these groups and see what setups are relevant with respect to a production module. Let's look into the dimension group. Right click, go to view details, create a new dimension group and select dimension that is active. Your product can have size, can have different colors, and if your product is configurable, such as BOM configuration, you have to select configuration. If it is a predefined variant and if you select configuration, it just acts as another dimension. Going to the next one, storage dimension group. In storage dimension group, you have to select the storage dimensions that are applicable for your product. In AX2012, site is by default active. Activate warehouse. For warehouse, select primary stocking and mandatory. Blank receipt, blank issue. Since we have selected primary stocking, these fields are being disabled. Select physical inventory active, financial inventory active, coverage plan by dimension. Purchase price and sales price is not relevant to production. Coming to tracking dimension group. In tracking dimension, this depends on whether your item has batch number activated and serial number activated. It could be a raw material or a finished good which are being handled by this. For example, let's say the pen ink comes in different batches. Each batch may have different shade of color. So you could activate batch number for the ink and serial number for every pen that comes out or the refill that is being made. When you select serial number, you have another option, serial number control. It is selected only if you want to have unique serial numbers, where the serial numbers are not repetitive. The item model group setups in this particular form or in this particular group suggests how your item behaves in the inventory or with respect to production. So with respect to production, the important fields are stock product, physical negative inventory, financial negative inventory, quarantine management, post physical inventory, post financial inventory, registration requirement, date controlled, backward from ship date, and the inventory model. I will be using standard cost to demonstrate the entire production module. The significance of each of these fields as to how they behave and how they affect the transactions will be explained in the inventory module videos. The next main setup is the item group setup. In the item group setup, The main accounts that have to be set up are the inventory issue account, inventory receipt account, and in production, picking list offset, report as finished offset, production issue offset, production receipt offset, production price variance, production lot size variance, production quantity variance, production substitution variance. All these accounts have to be created and set up accordingly. All the subparts and the finished good pen can belong to the same item group, or each of the subpart can belong to different item group or different posting profiles. The other important setups with respect to an item: the inventory unit, the BOM unit, the flushing principle, BOM type, auto report as finished, calculation group for BOM calculation, coverage group for master planning or the MRP, and the cost group for costing sheet setup and production order costing analysis. The next setup that we will be looking at is the item coverage setup and default order settings. In default order settings, the inventory site is a required setup. For pen, which is a finished good or semi-finished good item where production order has to be created, production has to be selected, or if it is being done through lean manufacturing, Kanban process, Kanban has to be selected. For the time being, we will be focusing only on the production type orders. In the inventory tab, the multiple quantity plays a role. Minimum order quantity for master planning to suggest, maximum order quantity similarly, standard order quantity again with respect to master planning, the inventory lead time again with respect to master planning to calculate the delivery time, and the item coverage group. The item coverage group setups can be overridden from the coverage group selected on the item master in this form by selecting site, warehouse, color. In the general tab, you can select the master planning to either generate a production order for the finished good and purchase order for the raw materials, that is the subparts, if it is being purchased and not produced in-house. You can override the coverage group for this particular item for a particular vendor when it is being subcontracted. The coverage code could be the period, requirement, minimum, maximum, or manual. These are the master planning setups. That is the coverage period, time frames, negative days, positive days. These setups will be described or discussed in detail in the master planning tutorial. The production lead time for master planning calculation, the transfer lead time for the item transfer from the main warehouse or go down to the shop floor, again to calculate the delivery time, minimum maximum only if a min-max method is selected, and the dimensions for which we have created this particular coverage. Now that we have seen all the setups for an item with respect to production module, I have created the items required or the item codes required with respect to production of a pen. As we are starting off with a simple BOM, I have created all the subparts as item type item and not as production or sub-finished goods. For, let's say, for refill, basically it would be a semi-finished good as it consists of nib, ink and the filling process. But to have a simple BOM as a startup, I have created all these items as items and not as semi-finished good. And going ahead, I will show you how we can make a simple BOM into a complex one and go into every detail. This wraps up the first tutorial, and let's move on to the next one.